What is going on, everyone? Welcome to day 11 of the Halloween Horror 3. So, I had filmed this review, but my mic died, so I gotta redo it. But for day 11, I'm going to be reviewing the 1986 David Cronenberg classic, The Fly, which is a remake to the original. It stars Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, which is not the first movie they would work together on. They also did Earth Girls Are Easy. So this is, of course, a remake to the original, but it goes in a completely different direction, kind of similar to other remakes that have come out. Not maybe not at that time, but more like I would say recent, and maybe the past couple decades or so, give or take. I think The Thing is another one that came out in the 80s that is considered to be a really good remake as well, and arguably one of the, one of the better remakes that is actually a lot better than the original. So Jeff Goldblum plays a scientist who is trying to create these transportation pods. These transportation pods would basically make it easier for people to travel in society. You can go from your house, one day, and with matters of seconds, you can be in another country. And while he's all doing all this, he does meet Gina Davis, who I believe is like a reporter of some sort. And of course, there's the romance that develops between the two. So when Jeff Goldblum's character decides to, he decides to run all these different experiments with living, animals for these transportation pods, but they don't go too well. And it's pretty gruesome. So after a successful run, he decides to test it on himself, knowing what possibly could happen. What he doesn't realize is that during the time he gets into the pod, a fly ends up going in with him. And well, his testing seems to be a success, but not realizing that he, has fused his DNA with a fly. And throughout the film, we see him mutate and transform to this creature. And one thing I love about this movie is the fact that throughout the entire film, just the step of transformation, the transformation step that we get is what I'm trying to say. Throughout the film is just absolutely amazing. It works so well, and not only that, but you get to kind of see the effects of this going to his head, and he starts to get that mad scientist, talking to himself, trying to figure out solutions and the problems of what went, what ended up happening, all that. And while this is all going on, it ends up causing a rift between him and Gina Davis's character. She goes to somebody she knows. He cheats on her basically with other women, and eventually he gets jealous and gets aggressive, and one thing leads to another, and then eventually leads him, transforming into this creature. This movie is fantastic. It's one of my all-time favorite horror films and one of my all-time favorite remakes. The chemistry between Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum is fantastic. I've always enjoyed them working together, and it's a shame that they didn't do a whole lot together. I do believe they might have dated at one point back in the 80s. I could be wrong on that, but the chemistry that they have for the films they've done, it wouldn't surprise me if they did. And I like the story of, yeah, I like the story as a whole, when it comes to his transformation and him becoming this mad scientist, and the romance between him and Gina Davis. I think everything works out really well and blends really well. Jeff Goldblum, of course, his mannerisms and how he speaks, and I feel like it definitely works for this character, especially as we get to him kind of losing his mind in a way. And he still, even though him and Gina Davis's character argued, there's still love there, but everything that's going on, it's hard to not fall into the madness. And there are points where he is basically knowing that, I want to get better, or he wants to take her, in some way and transform her. So, there is that moment of, clarity of, hey, I want to go back to being human, but at the same time, you become the menacing mad scientist to this fly-like creature. And then, of course, the ending is pretty gruesome. There are some moments in the ending that just make you think otherwise. But all in all, it's just a great film. I think the score on this is fantastic. Probably one of my favorite scores from a film. David Cronenberg, fantastic director. I mean, he's got a nice range of films, especially some of the creature feature films that he has done, and this is no exception. The more I watch this movie, the more appreciation I have for it, and I feel like it still holds up in some way. Yeah, the technology might not so much, but the story I feel like does, and just everything that he goes through, what he goes through. I feel like it works, and the effects, the makeup from his transformation that progressed throughout the film to him turning into the fly. The effects team and the makeup team definitely deserves their props on this for sure. I think everybody who worked on this film definitely deserves their credit, especially for the things that do stand out the most. I think they definitely deserve it. But nonetheless, that is my review and thoughts on The Fly, the 1986 remake, directed by David Cronenberg. If you guys have seen this movie, let me know what your thoughts are down in the description below. We'd love to hear your opinion. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. It helps me out and it's much appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more content. And if you guys like to take the time out, check out my eBay store. But with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in for day 11. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm Film Talk with Mikey. Till next time, we'll talk films. You guys have a good one, and you guys take care, and I'll see you tomorrow.